10 rappers that went broke and lost it all. Hi guys, and welcome back to Flex Offenders. Why do rappers go broke? Well, heard of ball it till you fall? Their lives are about expensive jewelry, flashy cars that you can only dream of, houses the size of hospitals, swimming pools, having as many kids as possible with different women, and a flashy lifestyle. So, they ball it until they fall in the pit of financially effed up. Don't forget to subscribe below and comment on broke. We will choose one winner for a shout-out in our next video. 10. Nas.
Chillin' like a villain, I go by the name of the Illmatic one, Nas.
Nas had a long and successful career. He was one of the biggest rappers in the late 90s and early 2000s, if not the biggest MC. The hip-hop is dead rapper had no idea of what it meant to go broke, and he even got into beef with different rappers, including Jay-Z. Though Jay-Z's diss tracks were hyped, Nas carried the day with his lyrical jabs. That's a story for another day, but Jay-Z is filthy rich, while Nas, well, he's still struggling not to be broke. The rapper married Kelly in 2005, but things went south really fast, and by 2009, the divorce papers were already at Nas's door before he could even hold his first child. Whatever rocked their boat, it came to light during the divorce. The rapper had to contribute to child support, sending $50,000 per month to his ex-wife, owed his manager over $700,000, and the IRS was after him. He owed the tax man a whopping $6 million. Clearly, it was the end of the road for him. He probably didn't have the money, and the judge would later rule that Nas owed Kelly $300,000 in back child support, and paying the money would bankrupt the rapper. The mother of Nas's daughter also took him to court in 2014, saying that he owed her over $11,000 in child support. That was after losing his Georgia home in 2012 after he failed to pay for the mortgage. As we speak, our dear Nas is still struggling. 9. Fat Joe.
Joe Crack been slipping the feds since the 80s. Moving that white boy, yeah, that's Slim Shady. Pushing that D like Terry Flannery. Uncle Drew with the rock.
Before running into the tax guy in 2010, Fat Joe had 10 albums to his name. Back then, he owed the state of New Jersey about $105,000, which he paid before things escalated. But before 2012, all hell had broken loose. Responding to a journalist, the rapper stated that he was perfectly perfect. But by the look of things, he never thought that things would escalate into far from perfect. Fat Joe was the top Latino MC of his time, and he even mentioned being turned on by office types at one time. He could have been the office guy himself he so admired. But what most rappers do is waste their money. The rapper earned about $3 million in 2007 and 2008. But he decided not to give Caesar his $700,000, even though the Bible encourages so. A 2-year sentence faced him. But before his sentencing, the lean-back rapper worked the hardest to pay the debt and donated computers to schools. He accepted the blame, according to Reuters, and admitted that it was his responsibility to pay the IRS. Over 60 people sent letters to the jury stating how awesome Fat Joe was. And pretty enough, the judge took that into account and slapped the rapper with a shorter sentence of 4 months. Every rapper must taste the prison life anyway, at least to find some material. The worst though, his daughter was made fun of. And that wasn't the end of Joe's woes. In 2016, the rapper found himself again at the mercy of the IRS. What was the amount in question? A whopping, intestine-rumbling, and mind-boggling $1.1 million. That was probably the longest nail in the coffin. Fat Joe may need to change his name to Fat Joe with a slime bank account for now. 8. T-Pain.
Let me talk to you, let me buy you a drink. I'm T-Pain, you know me.
It was T-Pain and Akon back in the days, and they collaborated with major artists of the time, including Lil Wayne and the guy who gets paid to yell DJ Khaled. You probably heard of T-Pain's wife accompanying him to the strip club. What if they still do? While at The Breakfast Club, the rapper spoke about his financial woes. He revealed that he fell from $40 million at the height of his career to having almost nothing and having to borrow money to get his kids a Burger King. Just a few bad investments and terrible spending habits, and he had been pushed into thinking how badly he had managed his money. Talk about bills being a pain in the ass. In the interview, he stated that he understood what it was to be mega rich, super broke, sitting in the corner thinking he was once mega rich, getting rich again, and learning to give a shit about money. According to his words, Well, it's right to say that T-Pain is out of the woods, and he's doing much better now. He should probably write a book titled The Life of Pain, Rich, Painfully Rich, Painfully Poor, and Rich Again. God help me. 7. TYGA. TYGA was one of the 3 rappers that put Young Money on the map. Apparently, he's trying to make a comeback, while Drake and Nicki Minaj are making millions. Let's face it, in 2016, TYGA's album flopped, and he didn't make peace with the fact that shit happens. Wayne's sophomore album didn't do better. Jay-Z's first album went gold, and the next one never did, and they got their shit together. Why not TYGA? As it turned out, the Compton-based rapper owed the Taxman $1,000. Maybe he needed to make a remix of Rack City for a comeback. Tax City bitch, tax city bitch. 10 times 10, maybe 5 times 20s? Fucking IRS wants to take that shit and get the IRS ladies twerking in their little skirt suits and the lads rocking them gold chains. In March this year, TYGA was facing a warrant for his arrest after failing to pay a fan $234,000 for injuries sustained at one of his concerts. Cheyenne Ricana got injured when a light stand fell on her head and hurt her scalp. It turns out, TYGA has been in too much trouble, including child support claims from his former beau, Black China, and a series of lawsuits. 6. Exhibit. If you were looking for inspiration on how to manage your money by reflecting on what would happen if you failed to, think of Exhibit. He's a prime exhibit that when you don't manage your money well and fail to pay your taxes, your story would be from rags to riches backwards.
Yeah, going live on the NASDAQ, chilling on a big boat, diving in a ass crack. Black Elon Musk.
Exhibit started as a rapper, collaborated with USA artists and international ones, and eventually won a connection to host MTV's Pimp My Ride. The rapper had definitely made it. Well, the show lasted from 2004 to 2007, and the cancellation had adverse effects on his bank account. The problem was his lifestyle when he was cashing big. Apparently, he never owned a car, even when he was hosting a show about them. And he was, in fact, leasing a Range Rover for $22.30 a month. Reckless living, I must say. By 2010, he was $1.4 million in debt. The IRS came knocking between 2008 and 2010 to take its just under $1 million of unpaid taxes. Exhibit was forced to file for bankruptcy, but his filings were dismissed and his property seized. 5. MC Hammer. Back in 1991, way before we knew Tupac, Forbes estimated the "You Can't Touch This" rapper's net worth to be over $33 million. It seems someone may have touched his money. Living way beyond his means put Hammer in a hole 5 years later, leaving him with $13 million in debt. He had no other option but to file for bankruptcy in 1996. Wondering where all the money went to? First, there was the $30 million worth mansion and the 200 people on his payroll of about $500,000 a month, according to Times.
Everybody knew that I had 200 employees. It wasn't no secret. So what you think, I was paying them in hamburgers? So
Hammer even told Oprah that it could be over $1 million in some months. Apart from the IRS, lawyers, and banks, he also owed a football player, Deion Sanders, $500,000. Today, Hammer is doing much better. He has his own record label, is a preacher, and gives lectures at venues like Harvard. At least he knows what shouldn't be touched. 4. DMX. As it turns out, DMX ain't gonna give it to you unless it doesn't mean money. According to The Guardian, DMX was one of the most successful rappers in the late 90s, with 5 chart-topping albums, featured hit movies like Cradle to the Grave and Romeo Must Die. Well, it seems X sat on the cradle, blew all his money, his finances died, and ended up in the grave. According to Bet, DMX filed for bankruptcy in 2009 and got turned down by the court, terming unreasonable delay of the case by the former rapper. He filed another one in 2013, blaming his woes on poor financial management by his prior representation and that he was almost $10 million in debt. Again, the judge threw the bankruptcy filing to the fire, citing inconsistencies. DMX didn't give up. He filed another one in 2016 where he mentioned that he even owed more money. He had nothing in his bank account, lost all his assets, and only owned his house, which he was trying to save from foreclosure. Finally, the IRS came to fetch it $2.29 million in 2018 and the rapper spent a year in jail for tax evasion. Heard of a sadder story about a rapper? I really felt for this man. 3. Method Man. Well, this one will make you laugh. Method Man has had a rough time trying to keep his finances in order. The rapper and basshead who even directed Method Man Presents The Strip Game owed $52,503 in income taxes. So in 2009, the Department of Taxation came for his Lincoln Navigator. At one time, he told New York Daily News, "I never paid that shit because I don't think like that." The shit he was talking about was taxes. Mark this, he owed the IRS since 2002. Well, the taxman takes no crap. He faced a 4-year prison sentence for tax evasion, and in 2010 he pleaded guilty to 1 count of attempted failure to pay taxes. He was sentenced to a conditional discharge and paid $106,000 in fines. While trying to explain why he was in the situation, Meth stated that his weed habit made him forget everything else. He went quiet for a while and came back to host the celebrity battle rap show, Drop the Mic. He also has a recurring character at the HBO show, The Deuce. He's making some good money there, and he too knows how it feels to go broke. 2. Lisa Left Eye Lopez. TLC was formed in 1991, but it's not as forgiving. According to The Guardian, Lloyds of London filed a $1.3 million claim against Lopez, forcing her and the entire TLC into bankruptcy. 1. 50 Cent.
Before the baby comes, who the hell cares? I'm stanky rich, I'ma die trying to spin this kid. Southside's up in this.
Get Rich or Die Trying. Get Rich or Die Trying would have changed into Get Rich and Die Poor for 50. When he popped up into the hip-hop scene with his hits like In the Club, he was an undeniable talent. Over the years, he has sold more than 30 million albums despite the diminishing returns. At one time, he was the second wealthiest rapper after Jay-Z. The reign started beating 50 Cent after he released a sex tape featuring Rick Ross's ex-girlfriend. He eventually paid $5 million in the lawsuit that followed. The rapper also asked to pay $18 million for stealing a design of a headphone product for his business, which never took off. 50 Cent lost millions in the stock market in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. In 2015, he declared bankruptcy to restructure himself financially and lost much of his fortune. He even lost his Farmington estate. Cent has, however, re-established himself through film work.